Okay, so it's functions as two different things. You undo the wing nuts here and wing nuts here, and the thing becomes a spike for a fishing pole holder. So as you can see, I've taken it apart. That's the head of it, and here's the spike for the fishing pole holder. So for this project, you're going to need a few things. You're going to need these washers, these wing nuts, these bolts to screw into your wing nuts, one of these closet hanger thingies. I just hammered it straight. You can get it and hammer it straight. Usually this tab is bent, and then nothing is bent. I just hammered it out straight, and then you open it up a little bit. This part here makes that part right there. So you can see how that works. It just makes it strong. Okay. Okay. So the mesh part, I'll show you what that is made of in a minute. Okay. So this is one of those organizer builder thingies. It comes with little white tabs that you can make cubes and things like that to store your stuff. But you need clippers, and then for the sheet metal thing that you need, you can get those at Home Depot or whatever. I have a sheet here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut out to size the sheet that I need. Okay, and so I'll use the clippers and I'll cut that out. So I'm going to move forward. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use these clippers. And measure out a little more than I need. Maybe there. Then for my first one, instead of using these clippers, I just use a Dremel. But that stuff created a lot of dust. So I figured maybe I should use this. That'll work out a little better. Okay, now that you have it to a manageable size, let's try and see if we can cut it down even a little bit smaller and save this piece for the side, the triangle side. So basically you're making this, and then these two sides will be here and here. Okay? Alright. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it up a little bit, give it a little bit of room. Just use that edge. I should wear gloves, but whatever. Okay, maybe press it down real tight. See that? Seems to be good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bend this so that it's halfway, about halfway there. So we'll make that triangle. We'll try to make this angle here. Okay. Okay. There we go. Alright. Trying to get the idea. So, kind of like that. So for this part, just to have a smoother surface, I kind of bent it down over. Okay. So I put the mesh on the inside, so it doesn't, so the basket kind of holds it up a little better. There we go. Kind of like that. And so since one edge is already cut, I'm just going to lean it against that, kind of like that. Okay. There we go. That's flat. The V part is a little flattened. And bend it over. Again, probably should be using gloves. The reason I bend it over is it just makes it stronger. Do a zip tie at the bottom there, so it holds it in place. Okay, so that kind of holds it at the bottom, and then same on this side. Okay, all right, and that kind of holds it in right there. Okay. Okay, now you just kind of test for fit. This goes like this. Okay. Now what I tend to do is I stick the wood, the piece underneath there. I kind of weave that in between the two horizontal things, so the basket kind of stays a little tighter. And then these things come with holes already, but as you can see, I just made 2 holes there. So wherever you see fit, you can drill a hole. So I had to drill a couple holes, right? Drill a hole here, and I believe I drilled one here. And the holes that come with it are a little smaller. So these holes here, so I had to make it a little bigger. So you have to drill 1 hole, 2 holes, 3, 4. So just 4 holes to drill. So you just make it bigger, and then you kind of assemble it like that. Okay, with the combination of washer to just hold down the mesh a little better. So these giant washers. These giant washers, it just goes through and then do that thing, and then you hold it with the ring nut on the other side. You can fasten it however you like, but I think the washer is definitely a plus. So what I want to do now is I'm going to cut all the edges off here, and then we'll make the sides. Okay, and to make the sides, what I'll do is I'll cut this in half. I'll put it on, and then after I put it on, I'll zip tie the whole thing, and then I just cut it. Okay? So rather than cut it and zip tie, it's just easier just to put it on, zip tie the whole thing, and then cut it. Okay? And that's basically it. But let me fold this in half now. Easier than using the drill. Okay, so again, these things just go on the side. And what I try to do is I align it so that it's not like this where it could like stretch out. I align it so that when you pull, imagine the basket getting pulled out. So the way it gets pulled, it's stronger versus like this way would be less strong. And I think this way is stronger. So I try to align it so that it's just right. And then at the end, what I do is I get these giant zip ties, 2 of them. And so that when the sand pulls back, sorry about that, camera ran out of battery. So in the meantime, I went and got my drill. And then I cut this out already. So now I'm just finishing cutting this side. Okay, it takes a little while. Just gotta be careful not to hurt yourself. Okay. Alrighty. So toss that. Now, pretty much there. So again, remember I was saying, see this line on top as the edge? I want to save that edge for the top here so that it stays strong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zip tie it like this. Okay? Zip tie it like that, again, to keep that smooth edge so that it's strong against both of these edges. So right there, something like that. Okay? And zip tie 2 together. But first, before I do that, you have to kind of do this zip tie so you can cut it now, because later it'll be really hard to cut. Actually, I don't even know if it's cuttable. Okay. So, there we go. Okay, maybe just one more. So maybe like all the way down first. Bring it all the way down there. Right there. There. So just put it there. Alright, okay. See how that's done? Okay. What we'll do now is we'll cut all this off. We'll cut all this. Okay. We cut all the zip ties off. Now I'm going to cut this. So you notice there's a few sharp edges. So what I do is I just go around with a hammer later and I just flatten everything down. Okay? The sharp edges. I just hit with a hammer. Alright, so this is the second side. I just finished zip tying it. So this is the first side. So the basket's coming along pretty nicely. Okay? Alright, so now I'm going to do the same. I'm going to trim it off, trim off the zip tie, trim off the mesh, and then I'll come back after that. Okay. Now the next piece, now that I've done the basket pretty much there, so there's a shorter edge and a long edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the stick on the long edge. So I'm going to weave this in here, like so. Just do a test to make sure the angle's right. The basket sits. Okay, you can see there's a little bit of a gap. Not too bad. Yeah, it'll work. Okay, so now you see that hole there? I'm going to put another hole right there, right about there, right there. Okay, so right about where my thumb is, right about here, I'm going to put a hole. And then before that, I want to make sure this hole is big enough. Yep. So that the bolt goes through. Okay. I'm going to drill another hole right about a little bit closer to here. Right about there. Right there. Okay. So you can see where that is on here. Pretty close to the edge. So right about there. Right about there. Alright. Now I'm going to insert this into here. Right there. So I'm going to move that underneath that thing. Right there. Okay. So when I bolt it, then I'll shove it through. Next, start tightening by hand. There it is. I'll undo the other one. The reason I want to reverse it is because when you're grabbing for those crabs, you might just hurt yourself with these winglets. So, put it the other way. So these closet things, they come in white, but I painted it, so it matches the pole holder. So you can just use it like this with your hand, but I like the leverage of the pole holder, so that's why I'm gonna poke 2 holes here and then drill my pole holder. So make sure that that whole pit fits. And then here, I'm just gonna wing it and just say right about there is good. Make it kind of strong. I'll just have it right there. Okay. Just gonna drill a hole there. I'm going to put a bolt through here, bolt through here, and then now hole holder in here, right? By the way, when you stick it in the sand, it doesn't go, it's hard to go in. So what you do is you wiggle, wiggle, wiggle left and right, and this thing will just naturally go down by itself. So you don't try to force it down. Just wiggle left and right, and it'll go down nicely. All right. So what I want to do is, so there's a hole there. Naturally, this garden stick has a hole there already. So I want to make sure, first of all, that it's big enough. And it is. So I'll tighten one end to it, and that way I'll know where to drill for the next guy. It's a glass table, so I'm going to move it out. Perfect. Alright. Now why do I attach it like this side instead of the groove side? The reason is when I hold it with these things, I kind of use these holders as handles. Because the sand pulled kind of hard, so it's better to have the nut, the bolt side on this way, the wing nut on the other side, sorry. Because the groove kind of prevents the wing nut from tightening. There's a trial and error type of thing. Alright. And the second one just kind of stabilizes the whole thing. Tighten it. So this is how it works. So you go into the thing, and you're just going to dig down, scoop. Okay. So when the water pulls back, it's kind of strong. So this has a tendency to stretch like that, but not really. You know, sometimes even just a stick and a mesh works. But I want it to be a little bit even stronger so that this metal thing doesn't bend back out. So what I did for the first one is that I put these strong zip ties there, and that was 2 of them. Very simple to do. So, but I ran out of these zip ties. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add electrical wire right here and here just to make it strong. So just going to add a couple of electrical wires this way. Okay, and then hopefully that'll be strong enough so it doesn't pull out. So I'm just going to double it here, and double it here, tight it. Okay. So the idea now is I'm just going to loop this. See there? I'm sure there's a number of you out there that could probably improve on that. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. That's pretty much it. And then for added measure, I just zip tie the edge here, because that's the edge that you're gonna dig into the sand. So what I'll do to finish it is I'll just zip tie a bunch of zip ties here so that this edge doesn't become loose. And that's pretty much it for the completion of this thing. The sand crab rake. Alright, and I'll include a picture of what I did to test it. Okay. Enjoy.